If you guys are regulars to my channel, you'll probably know that in the past I've been a Volvo nerd, and I honestly still consider myself one. A few weeks ago we got this 2007 V70 2.4 in a bit of an interesting spec, at least to me and maybe you guys too, but I wanted to bring you guys along and look at Volvo's family station wagon of the mid-2000s. So this V70 in particular is a 2007 with the 2.4 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder. I'll get to that in a second. This one is in titanium gray, and 2007 did get a few revisions over the 06 models like standard traction control and standard TPMS. Hoo-hoo! This one in particular has 67,000 miles on it, and I wanted to show it to you guys because this is such a clean example of a V70. I mean, you could see the headlights are in good shape, the paint is in impeccable condition, it looks like it's brand new almost. There are a few scuffs and dings on it, but it's an 07. You could also notice that this one is a lower spec or a more normal spec V70 because it has the halogen headlights. You could option projectors, but I don't see many of those with them. So something interesting about these Volvos, and I'm pretty sure Volvo still does this, every wheel design has its own name. These are called NODOS, N-O-D-O-S. These are 16-inch alloy wheels. They were optional. You could get a bunch of different designs on these P2s, and they're compatible on everything. I just wanted to say that these wheels kind of make this look like a V70R. I know it doesn't have the body kit and they're smaller, but if you just look at it and squint, it kind of looks like a V70R. I noticed that while I was shooting the B-roll. Now about powertrains of these, you could get 3 or 4 different engine options in the V70, at least in the US. Europe got a few diesel engines, but first we get this one, which I'll talk about in a second, but you also get the V70 2.5T, which makes 208 horsepower, the V70R, which makes 300 horsepower out of a 2.5 liter 5-cylinder, but let's talk about this little 5-pot. So unlike the turbo models, this one uses a 2.4 liter 5-cylinder. It's still a 5-pot, but it's not turbocharged. This one makes 168 horsepower and 166 pound-feet of torque. You could only get the 2.4 with front-wheel drive. A manual transmission was standard, which was cool back in the day. You know, manual Volvos, you hardly see them anymore. But this one has the optional 5-speed automatic, also known as the AW55. If you wanted all-wheel drive, you'd have to option up the 2.5 liter 5-cylinder for the V70 or even the XC70 for a little bit more rugged capability in your Volvo. These 5-cylinder Volvos are known to be pretty robust and stout, especially compared to the brand new Spa 2-liter supercharged, turbocharged, and hybridized engines that are just way too injected with too much. These 5-cylinders use a timing belt, not a chain. This one was done at 59,000 miles in 2017, so it's been taken care of. I would replace it every 80 to 100,000 miles or every 10 years. Now back here is where you'll see the biggest difference between this and an S60. Of course the S60 is a sedan, but this is why people like, this is why people like these old Volvos. It's straight up and down in the back. You could fit so many things from IKEA back here. There's 37 cubic feet of volume behind the second row seats, and if you fold that second row seat down, which is a 60-40 split, you get 71 cubic feet of volume. That's bigger than some SUVs of this time. It's really good, and that's why station wagons are just such good buys. I mean, you get the driving dynamics of a car and the practicality of a van. There's also a few things that I want to mention, like the storage underneath here, and you can also separate your grocery bags because there's clips here. There's also a donut underneath here. If you lift up the second flap, there's no storage, but you could see where the donut would sit. Also, something interesting about these is you could get an optional rear-facing third row. And that's why these V70s have always been so iconic and memorable to me, because I remember my friend Max, if you watch this, hey, but they had a blue V70 P2 and he sat in the third row every day at the end of school, and I'd always watch him and wave. It was just something really cool to me. But you also have a tonneau cover back here. Got a little bit emotional over a Volvo. That's nothing new though. The rear seat is also a comfortable place to be. Actually, before I sit in it, something interesting about these P2s, and brand new Volvos do this as well, is that you have a built-in booster seat. If you can see that, you have a built-in booster seat. So if you have a toddler, you could put the kid on this without buying another seat. But let's sit back here. It's actually pretty comfortable. Headroom is great because this thing is a box. Legroom is acceptable. I'm comfortable. I'm 5'9". The driver's seat is in my position. I have legroom and I have under seat room for my feet. I'm comfortable. 3 adults could fit back here in a pinch. It's more, you know, 3 little kids in the back, or 3 kids in the car, but it's not bad. This is a pretty roomy wagon, and it is big and also small. But you also have a center armrest with some storage here. This flap keeps flapping open because there's nothing that locks it, but there's 2 cup holders in the center console. Then there's a 12-volt power outlet by your feet. There's no rear climate control, but there are air vents, which is nice. Now this is where you and I would sit as you drive your V70. The driver's seat is really comfortable. Volvo seats are amazing. I don't know any other better word to describe them. The new Volvo seats are hard. These are soft, they're very supportive, they fit everyone's body. The driver's seat is 8-way power. The passenger seat in this one is manual, but you can get a power passenger seat depending on which options you get. The steering wheel is typical old Volvo. It's a 4-spoke wheel. You'll find this on the XC70 and also the S80 of this era. The horn has a good sounding horn. Did I distract those old ladies? No, but there's buttons on the wheel. The left side is for cruise control, the right side is audio. Something else about these old Volvos is that you'll notice there's a bit of a, people say crayon smell. It's the leather. It's something about P2s to just be weird about. Now, something about P2s that is not the best is interior quality. Now listen. Well, you can also see how much this moves. These are just like built like Legos, which some models, you know, like this one, it's not as creaky, but I had an XC90 P2 that was just a creaky mess of plastic. Looking at the head unit, this one uses the HU650. So this one is the kind of mid-range. This one does not have the navigation system, but it sounds good. Volvo systems have always sounded good. You could be on the highway with the windows down and still listen to your music very clearly. There's also dual zone climate control, which is a Volvo standard thing on these things, which is very nice. You also have heated seats for the driver and passenger as well. By the shifter, you'll see a W button, and that's winter mode. So that starts the car in 2nd gear to limit slip. I don't know, I wouldn't use it. I've heard it burns the transmission, or it just wears it out prematurely. But behind the shifter, there's 2 nice cup holders, and the center console, it's, you know, reasonably sized. Wow, but see what I mean? The plastic snaps your fingers. Not really. I also wanted to mention the gauges. They're very standard in a good way for P2 Volvos. Everything has the same layout, but there's different colors. The R's will have blue gauges, which is actually pretty cool. There's 2 things that I do like about the gauges and the switchgear of the V70. First, the 2007 V70 was one of the first cars to use the triple click function when you use the turn signal. That's something that I use in day-to-day traffic. There's also a trip computer which shows fuel economy and other various fault codes that your Volvo may have. Like if I press the brake, the stoplight out light will come on. This one has a manually adjusting rear view mirror. I'm used to seeing these with the electronic rear view mirror, but it has a sunroof. No home link on this one. It would be on the visor over here. And, you know, that's pretty much it. These Volvos are simple, but ergonomically satisfying. Now, let's listen to a sequence of satisfying noises. Huh? So, This V70, we got this a few weeks ago, but I went to the New York Auto Show, so I wasn't able to immediately show it to you all, but I'm glad that it's still here before it does sell, because I'm pretty sure it will. Something I wanted to quickly mention that P2 owners may not know about, because this is kind of like tips and tricks as well. If you hold the lock button, if you press and hold it, that activates or deactivates the auto door lock. I like it because once I start moving, the doors lock. You don't have to worry about some random GTA NPC trying to get into your car and trying to take the car. It does have torque, but most of the torque that you feel is at the lower end. When you really wind this thing out, it starts to get a bit breathless. But I mean, for the average city dweller, the power feels fine, because like, let's say, oh, there's another V70. I'm gonna drive around the neighborhood here, and like, throttle response is great. So throttle response makes the car feel not peppy, but decent around town. In terms of ride quality, this thing is like a cloud. I mean, Volvos are known to be comfortable, and this one is not sporty. The sporty one is the V70R. I'll always say that. Like, let's see, is there anyone behind me? I'll do it from a stop. Oh, there's cars coming. Let's go. Wow. Like, there's a lot of good induction noise, and you could hear that it chirped the tires from a stop. So there is a bit of torque, but it's not an outrageous amount of torque. So yeah, as I go onto these bumpier roads, you'll start hearing the interior make noise. And honestly, that's something that you'll find in a V70 with 30,000 miles and a V70 with 230,000 miles. Let's see, kick down. That's 60. So I mean, like, yeah, it's slow. It's slow. It's slow. But like I said, this version of the V70 was not meant to be a hot rod. It's meant to just drive the kids around to school. There is wind noise. More wind noise than I would expect. So let's see how it does around this corner. Let's send it. Whoa, she leans. Whoa, yeah, she leans a bit. She does lean, but like, it holds the road. It holds the road. That's all that matters. It's just, there's not that confidence inspiring when you're trying to boogie around a corner. But this is not a performance V70. I'm telling myself that, and I'm telling you that. This is Bern in the future. I'm parking right now, and well, I was parked, but now I'm moving to go park in another spot to explain something to you. P2 Volvos, doesn't matter what it is, from an S60 to an XC90, these things turn like metro buses. They do not turn tight. I don't understand why it's designed this way to not turn tight, but it's something very interesting. Now, before I let you go, there's two things that I wanted to talk about involving the lights on this. First, if you've ever seen a Volvo key fob of this era, you'll see the yellow button. That turns on the parking lights. And speaking about the lights as well, if you leave your V70 at night and you want the lights to stay on after you leave the car, you pull the headlight stalk and that activates home safe mode. On that note, it is time to end this video. I'm glad that I was able to show you guys this V70 before it sold, because people like these old cars. I like them. But if you want to see this car, I'll post the link to it in the description below on our website if you're located anywhere around Bethesda, Maryland. But that's work stuff. This is you guys and me stuff. But thank you for watching this video. Stay tuned for plenty more videos like this to come. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, peeps.